It is what it is. I mean, I get the frustration. I'm frustrated myself. I'm giving myself until
You're
Montreal.
not frustrated. Get out of here, man.
I am.
He's cashing those checks. Shut up.
Phil Neville got coach of the match of the week of whatever. Phil Neville for president.
It's okay to say this guy isn't working out because he was obviously not working out.
Which, by the way,
no question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Chris, the Herons are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 61 of the Battered Herons podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada. Alongside me is Mr. KBD. How are you doing, sir?
I'm splendid.
Yeah.
What a game, huh? What a game.
It was a fun game.
What a game, right? It was awesome.
I've heard a lot of people defending Javi, obviously, because it was no fault of his that we lost. And we're going to get into all that and more. But before we do, we have a very special guest. We have Mr. IMCF Traveller. He is joining us to talk a little Phil and Javi and all that other good stuff. How you doing, IMCF?
I cannot complain. I mean, I could, but, then the comments are just going to come after me. And specifically that Matthew guy, I mean, he's a special one.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't really have much to complain about, especially out there in St. Louis, right, Vasilev?
Yeah. My boy Indy, myself. I drew a penalty on Saturday, and I'll help lead my team to victory again.
But before we get into the game, I want to get a couple of things, but I do have a question for you. You bought a St. Louis jersey. Now, what is your infatuation with Vasilev to the extent that you're buying a jersey for St. Louis?
I just love the dude. I mean, the backstory is when he first joined the club, I met him. We ran into each other just randomly, and I had a really good chat with him. We exchanged Snapchats and stuff and talked from there. And then between him and Bryce, we talked more and more, and I'm just like, this dude's cool, and I like him as a person. So
are you planning on buying a Bryce jersey also?
Fun fact, I bought a Bryce Duke jersey before the season started, and we saw what happened.
Yeah.
I got an Ime Mabika jersey before the season started too. So
he's just sabotaging us.
So that's what I know that you got an Ian Frey jersey recently also. So his time with us is also not going to be very long.
So I got an Ian Frey jersey, and I got it as a joke with the Discord chat, the IMPC Discord chat, and we turned around and he got the start in the U.S. Open Cup game, and I proudly proclaimed beforehand, I was like, all right, if Ian Frey gets the start, I'm buying an Ian Frey jersey. And he got the start. I held up my end of it and went out and bought an Ian Frey jersey.
Well, he's actually playing well, so I'm hoping that your jinx doesn't work.
Yeah. And I had no intent of getting that jersey signed or anything. I wanted it to be my new jersey to wear. That jersey only lasted 11 days before it got signed on Saturday because
the signature of death.
Because I was sitting in the West Stand because I'm fancy like that, and I actually ended up sitting in front of Ian Frey's dad, and Ian Frey's dad tapped me on the back at the beginning of the game, just randomly.
He saw your jersey.
Yeah, and he was like, "Nice jersey, man." He's like, "Thanks, man." And then one of his friends points at him and is like, "That's his dad." I was like, "The fuck you are?"
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He's like, "Yeah."
So it was cool seeing him score then.
It was an amazing moment seeing him score, and his dad saw that I had on Saturday that they had the drive out cancer signs, and he saw that I had the sign that said I fight for my mother, and he turned around and he gave me a big hug, and he just looked at me and he said, "That goal was for you."
That's awesome.
nice.
And
Yeah.
then after the match, I was hanging out with the Greenlock gang, and Ian Frey walks over, and his dad points me out. He's like, Ian, that's the guy with your jersey. So Ian comes over, we chat a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Mike from the Greenlock gang hands Ian Frey a Sharpie, spins me around and says, you have to sign the jersey.
Oh, nice. That's great.
So the jersey's now signed, and eventually going to get hung up and join the group of, I think, 8 other ones I have framed.
Of ex Inter Miami players.
Yes, and then I'll buy his jersey whenever he moves.
All right. Well, that was a happy ending to Saturday, but obviously Saturday was it wasn't a happy situation during the game. But
No.
before we get into the game, I did want to touch on what did you guys think of the parking situation? Because the yellow lot, pretty big lot, closed. I don't know where all those cars went. I mean, I got there early enough where it wasn't an issue for me. But did you have any issue with parking? I guess I'll start with you, Chris.
Well, I parked over in the orange lot, and I had no issues getting there. It was actually pretty smooth. And let me tell you something. Surprisingly, I got in my car and left in 20 seconds from that parking lot. So secretly, it's like a pretty underrated parking lot because I left faster than I ever could imagine leaving the yellow lot. And I'm not telling anybody in what direction I went in leaving in 20 seconds because that exit looks like a disaster. So,
What about you, Trav? Oh, Trav is showing off his Vasilev jersey. Oh boy.
And then the Ian Frey jersey before that. And then face reveal.
hey, there
See,
we
I'm
go.
not Phil Neville, guys. For fuck's sake,
You gotta
stop
go
spreading
big
that
screen.
rumor.
You gotta
God
go
damn
big
it.
screen.
Now, I'm French, for fuck's sake.
You're not Vasilev either, so that's
No,
good.
I'm not Indy Vasilev either. I'm bougie, and I park in the green lot because that's who I am.
bougie.
So it didn't affect me, but a lot of the people I talked to said it wasn't horrible because Inter Miami did a good job of setting up shuttles and
Yes.
setting up ways for people to get back and forth, and they ran those shuttles late. They ran them until almost 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So people could have hung out. They could have gone to the Northwest Club. They could have turned around and gone to whatever they wanted to do after the match and still caught a shuttle later on.
I mean, I didn't have any issues either, so I'm with you guys.
Well, you're bougie too, bitch. You parked in the freaking pink lot because you got a freebie handout.
The pink lot? Isn't that like
Chris.
basically in the airport?
It's possible. We don't talk about those things, Chris. I appreciate if you just keep your mouth shut.
I won't speak anymore.
I also had a pretty decent time parking in and out. No issues with me. All right, so on to the field. 5th straight loss. Now, what was Thursday that Phil Neville got fired, right? It was Thursday. So
Yeah,
Phil Neville gets fired on Thursday. He has 1 day of training, and then we have the game on Saturday. There was only one change made to the starting 11, and it was he benched Campana, he brought in Stefanelli. That was the change. And was it 6 minutes into the game? Kamal Miller gets that red card, and he has a decision to make. He has to bring in a defender, right? He has to bring another center back to kind of replace Kamal Miller. But I was kind of surprised that he took out Stefanelli. But to me, that was the change in the formation from Wednesday, the Red Bull games, to Saturday, was Stefanelli. As soon as the red card comes out, Stefanelli is out. We have no idea what exactly Javier Morales had in mind as far as tactics or formation or whatever change was coming. It went out the window when Stefanelli had to leave the game. So could we really judge this game or judge Javier Morales on this? Because that's really my question. Because I feel like it's a no. I feel like it's inconclusive. Like, Trav, do you think we could judge before I go to Chris? He's already smiling.
Yes and no. I mean, the fact that it took, 60 plus minutes for DC to get a goal against a 10-man squad, and then the goal they got was one of the weirder goals you'll see. A that was headed towards the back post, tipped on net by a forward making a run, and then caught between the forward's leg, the post, and Drake Calendar's leg. Drake was trying to pull it out. It got caught and then got pushed in. So the fact that it took 60, plus minutes for DC to score against a 10-man Inter Miami team, it is impressive and shows a lot of fight for this squad. And especially by then we had a midfield of teenagers. Our midfield by the time they scored that was Ian Frey, Benja Kramaski, and David Ruiz, since Arroyo left with a groin injury.
Yep.
So I thought it showed a lot of fight, and I think it's a game that if we don't get that 5th-minute red card, Miami wins. And I don't think it's pretty. I think DC plays a style of football that turns around and is very gritty, and they play a style and where they want to wear you down and eventually play balls over the top to Benteke, which is how they scored their second goal. And it's a game that Miami could have won if it wasn't for a tackle that arguably Kamal Miller needed to make.
Yes, I agree. He had to make it because it was a one-on-one. But at the same time, Drake has saved a lot of those one-on-one situations. So I think off by instinct he did it. But there's no guarantee that they would have scored. I have the unfortunate pleasure of sitting next to Chris during these games. And as the game's going on and DC scores, he starts talking about and yelling about we had to respect Phil Neville and blah, blah, blah. Chris, I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on the game and Javier Morales' debut, because I know that this is your chance to kind of go ahead and defend Phil Neville. So go ahead, sir, and give us your irrational explanation as to what happened on Saturday.
I'm going to agree here with Hazel Lopez. It's too early to fire Javier Morales, right? And shout out to you, Hazel. I met you at the park and your kids. It was awesome. Super, super cool people, man. But this right here, hold on, where is this? This right here is blasphemy. For those that are listening on audio, Matthew, if this game was under Phil, we would have given up a goal in the 10th minute. Like, we got to be watching the same game here. Our defense isn't giving up goal after goal, or we're not giving up goals like in 2-3 minutes.
Well, and the big thing to remember, that a lot of people seem to forget, is Miami's not losing in blowouts this year. I mean, our goal differential is what? -9? Oh, I think pretty much all but one of our losses have been by one goal. Oh, they're 1-0 or 2-1 losses. But can you really blame the defense when they're only letting up one goal or 2 goals at a maximum a game?
We have a goal differential of -6.
Thank you. And you can't blame the defense when you're only letting up 1 or 2 goals at a maximum a game. It comes down to your 2 high-paid strikers who, quite frankly, aren't doing their job. Both of them have 3 goals on the season, and both of them have 3 goals because 2 of their goals came in one match.
I agree with
Campana
you.
had 2 against Columbus. Joseph had 2 against Atlanta.
Yeah. But I agree with you to an extent, because I really do believe that our defense has played horrible this year.
Get out.
I see so many clear opportunities, and Drake has been. How many one-on-one opportunities has he stopped? Just this game alone, there was one that somebody was coming down the left flank, and it was a one-on-one shot, and he just stopped it. I think he tried to nutmeg Drake, and he blocked it with his hand. Like, I feel like there's been way too many easy opportunities for the opponents that Drake has somehow saved the team, because I feel like there's absolutely no reason why Drake should be. Last time I checked, he was second in saves in the league. If you have a good defense, there's no reason your goalie should be second in the league in saves. Like, maybe you could be up there, because you're a good goalie or whatnot. But if you have a good defense, like last year, this kid Blake from Philly, They had the best defense in the league. He won goalie of the year. I don't think he was top 5 in saves. But Drake right now, he might be one at this point because it's all Drake. I feel and I feel like we have good defensive players. Don't get me wrong. I really do. I love Miller. I love Kristoff. But together, I just don't know why they haven't gelled. Chris?
Listen, I have a question that I want to ask, but of course, IMCF's favorite attorney finally shows up. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Andres, with your attorney picture, I think you are part of the Facebook group. And here he says that he loves the fight that he saw. And one of the things that I mentioned on this Facebook group is this team had fight all season long last year.
But
They
Chris,
were
you're talking about
literally
last year.
called, hold on, they were literally called the cardiac herons for herons for a reason. And every single post game, everybody and not just the coaching, not just the coaches, but the players are like, oh, we show fight and grit every minute, blah, 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 blah. But then now Javier Morales coaches one game, and because we conceded 2 goals and we fought hard and all this other kind of mumbo jumbo sportsy crap, right? We got grit. We're tough. We're strong. Brr. Get out of here. That's one. And now my question, Danny, is, and I brought this up during the game, do you think that it was the right play to bring Stefanelli off? Because I don't think that was the right play. You're bringing in Sailor. This guy, I mean, what is he going to contribute? Like, you're going to have to play defense anyway, right?
Look, you had to sub in another center back, especially in the beginning of the game. Now, I don't know if taking Stefanelli off was the right move. Maybe we would have taken off Coco. I kind of wanted to see what Stefanelli had to offer, since this was the one change that Javi Morales felt was needed from the Red Bulls game, and he felt so highly about the change that he took Campana off. So I really wanted to see what he had in mind with Stefanelli. So for that reason, I thought it was weird that Stefanelli was the one that got taken off, but he had to bring in either McVeigh or Sailor. I feel like that was a necessary change.
Well,
And
what do you think, Trav?
I think Vegas just scored again.
Oh,
I think that, ultimately Javi made the right decision to bring in a defender, and specifically for Stefanelli. Stefanelli likes to play high. He likes to be in the attack, and he's a left-sided player. Stefanelli he struggled when he's been put on the right, and he plays with his left foot and likes to play down the left-hand side. So do you need a player like that on the pitch when you have Negri on the pitch? And we're now going to move to a back 5 and sit in this 5-3-1 block? No, you don't. And especially, a player of Stefanelli's stature, he's a 5'5", 5'6", winger / striker.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't fit into this match. And at least somebody like Coco is a right-handed player, a right-footed player who can play down the right side, and worked in the basically right wing-back role he had to play in. And that's what he did. He played, honestly, one of Coco's better games, and he was forced into a position he's not comfortable in and not used to. And he put in a great shift before being replaced by Robert Taylor.
Well, he did change to a 5-3-1 after the red card. I just thought that he could have stayed with 4 in the back for a little while, see how they held up. Like I said, I just wanted to see Stefanelli out there. I thought it was very curious that was the one change that he made. So I kind of wanted to see what Stefanelli had to offer.
Because I imagine that he probably thought, well, Ruiz and Cramashi are going to offer me more on both sides of the ball, right? Arroyo is a no-brainer. He's staying in, right? So it was either Stefanelli or one of the 2 up front. So I understand in terms of who he chose to replace. I just don't know if that helped in resisting a goal, because the goal was going to come regardless. I mean, there was just tons of pressure. And like you said, you have Calendar making a bunch of saves, it's definitely not helping, Danny.
Well, to that point of calendar, I looked it up, and he is now officially the leader in the league in saves. He has 65 saves this season. Second place is Petrovic from New England with 62, which we'll see this Saturday, and then third place is Austin Struver 58. So they're getting shots on goal on our defense. Now, I did think our defense looked solid this past weekend. I thought that they were holding up and covering up those backdoor cuts, I guess you would say in basketball. I just blanked on soccer talk, but I thought that they did a pretty good job defending, and I was impressed with the fight. Now, I know that Chris said that it's BS because last year the team showed fight with Phil Neville, but that was last season. I feel like it had gotten to a point where I kept saying, maybe even if it's not Phil Neville's fault, you need a new voice. I felt like after this, the team was going to have a little more energy. I think if Phil is still there, you're still kind of have that cloud over your head of all the drama and whatnot. So I think that I don't think they would have shown as much fight as they did with Javi on the sideline. I think that did help. I think that did contribute to the fight that everybody's saying that they showed. And I don't think that it would have been like that if Phil was still on there. Am I wrong for thinking that, Trev?
I think so. My bigger issue with the whole Phil sacking is less about like him not deserving to be sacked. This was coming.
Yeah,
we can all agree this was coming.
Yes.
It's more so the timing. We were 3 matches away from the international break,
which is when I thought it would happen.
And from knowing the answer from he who shall not be named until later, because I don't want the chat to go crazy.
Oh, fucking.
Yeah, and crazier than they already are. Yeah. And
people are talking about bumper stickers already, Trav. I mean,
well, that's a fun photo that's making the rounds right now of, I think it was like a Hyundai or something. Yeah. Outside Laporta's house with an IMCF sticker as like Jorge Messi walks in.
I mean, the driver of that car was probably hoofing on a bong inside of the house. Like,
yeah. And, you know, and I guess I can dive into it, even though I hate myself. We'll know within the next 72 to 96 hours. Every report out there has finally kind of reported the same thing, minus some of the Barcelona BS. There's 2 offers on the table, actual offers, one from Saudi Arabia, one from Inter Miami. The Saudi Arabia deal is upwards of $400 to $500 million a year.
Oh my goodness, you can't compete with that.
The Inter Miami deal is less in terms of cash.
Sandwich.
You know, he would not only he would shatter the MLS salary record, which is currently held by Lorenzo Insigne. He would absolutely shatter that. But his total deal would include a deal with MLS in where he's made the face of the league and gets a portion of league revenue and all of that. There's a deal with Apple in where he gets a portion of Apple MLS season pass subscriber revenue. Whoa. There's a deal with Adidas in where he gets a portion of 4-0.
Oh my goodness!
Where he gets a portion of jersey sales for the league, and then there is a piece of it with Inter Miami where he gets about, I believe the number I last heard was about 10 to 15% of Inter Miami CF after he calls it quit or his contract expires, whatever happens. So it ends up being closer to a $250, $300 million offer when all of that's taken into account by Inter Miami and by expansion MLS, Apple, and Adidas.
I know a lot of people are saying that Inter Miami cannot compete or MLS can't compete with that Saudi offer. But you have to keep in mind, the Saudi offer gives them money for 2 years. If he takes the Inter Miami offer, that's a lifetime of money that's going to be keep coming in because he's going to have a percentage of
Yeah.
Inter Miami, for example, whatever else that they offer. Those are lifelong contracts or lifelong investment into a club that's going to
Yeah.
continue to grow, especially when he comes over here. Globally, the club will grow. So yes, in the short term, yes, I understand that the money's bigger in Saudi Arabia. But if you're talking money, long term, it's the MLS deal.
Well, that and MLS against Saudi Arabia. Would you rather live in Miami or fuck's the
In
capital?
Saudi Arabia.
Riyadh, I think. Got it. If I got that wrong, I'm going to disappear at the next match. But that's been the big thing, and from everything I've heard and read is that's weighed heavily on not only Messi but his wife and family. Where do they want to live? Do they want to live in Miami where they already have property? They already have a very wide Argentine supporter base here? Or do they want to live in Saudi Arabia where they've kind of been lucky in a sense to see for the past 6 to 8 months what's gone on with Cristiano Ronaldo? He has kind of fallen by the wayside. He hasn't really performed there. And yes, he's dropped off more significant than Messi has, but he's kind of dropped off in terms of being a face of football like both of them have been for the past 15 to 20 years.
His reputation's taken a dramatic hit.
Well, because I think that's the thing though. Like, if I wanted to watch this weekend Saudi Arabia match, where the hell do I find that? Like, I have absolutely no idea. If Messi comes to play in the MLS, everybody around the world knows. Just get the Apple app, and I could watch Messi play whenever I want. So it's a legacy play also because his career continues to live on worldwide if he comes to the MLS. I just, for me, I just don't see Saudi Arabia as an option, but I do think that La Liga will do absolutely anything possible to keep Messi there because Benzema left, the Barcelona-Real Madrid rivalry and all that other stuff that was, while, Ronaldo and Messi were there, it was peak of soccer right now or in Europe for a decade, and it's kind of just fizzled out. Like, nobody really talks about La Liga anymore all that much. Now it's back to just the EPL, so I would assume that they would do absolutely everything possible to get him to go back.
Yeah, and the issue with that is, one, Real Madrid's already kind of gone after La Liga and Barcelona for just kind of how much leeway they've given them.
Mm-hmm.
And, their ability to, last year, be poor and not be able to sign anybody and then go spend $200 million in the transfer market.
Mm-hmm.
So for a lot of those other clubs in the Liga, it doesn't add up. And it wouldn't add up to bring in Messi, even if he came and played for free, which he wouldn't. They technically shouldn't be able to afford him. They're supposed to shed $225 million in salary this offseason for La Liga salary rules. And instead of doing that, they're talking about signing a $30 million player. It doesn't add up, and that's why one, this is dragged out as long as it has, and why it's going to end so soon now, because Messi and Jorge Messi both want answers now. They both want to know their future, and they want to know it before we get to July 1st and before he has to go pick a club and start basically touring with them and going anywhere with them.
We'll end the Messi talk with this. Do you think there's absolutely any truth in the we'll pay Messi for 2 years to play overseas in Barcelona, and then he can come over here as a 30-year-old, hobbled, close to the end Messi?
40-year-old.
No,
he'll be 30.
There's absolutely zero truth to that.
Okay.
Miami wants Messi. Miami's not working on any sort of a deal where Messi comes and plays here for 6 months, and then in January we send him to Barcelona to save their season or whatever. There's there's no agreement like that. That was just some classic Barcelona media circus bullshit.
Yeah, no, it
Wow.
made no sense to me.
And
I did understand how
didn't make
anybody could
any
take that
sense.
seriously.
And that's the thing with, you know, guys like Fab and, you know, other guys like that, is they're controlled by, you know, big clubs like that, because, you know, those clubs are, you know, sending, you know, Fab you know, Venmo payments, and they're like, hey, you know, just push this story a little bit. And same thing with agents and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
I could see
you know,
that.
they're pushing a story like that, and they're pushing the whole La Liga thing to turn around and make it, when they don't land Messi, be like, no, it was Inter Miami, they wouldn't loan him back to us. Or, you know, nope, it was La Liga, they wouldn't allow this to happen. And just to point the blame somewhere else. And then I'll comment on one thing that Matthew said, because it's wrong. And if you guys want to bring it up, it's so we have 1.5 million Gamish.
Yeah, because Money Matt Stat over here is talking about Gam and Tam. I mean, what is it that we can even be able to foresee in our near future with all that kind of money?
So Miami acquired $1.3 million in GAM in the Kamal Miller trade. We also acquired another 150,000 when we turned around and traded Aime Mabika. So he is right. We have about $1.5 million GAM. However, we cannot sign 2 DPs unless Pizarro does get bought out. That would be a mutual buyout. His salary cap hit would come off the books and all of that. And
But
MLS
everybody
made it
expected
this.
that.
Not really.
I feel like it was the Messi rule.
Well, the Messi rule was that now you can buy out players in the summer.
Exactly. Pizarro.
What we can do is, right now Miami's using all 3 DP spots. Leo Campana, Rodolfo Pizarro, and Gregory take up your 3 DP spots. Gregory only takes up a DP spot because we haven't bought him down. He's a TAM player. Mm-hmm. So Miami will, regardless of if we sign Messi or if we don't sign Messi, will on July 1st pay the, I believe it's like $700,000 in GAM to buy down Gregory and make him not a DP. At that time, depending on who Miami is interested in addition, they can either buy out Rodolfo Pizarro or use the remaining $700,000 in GAM they'll have to sign another TAM player and bring them in and make them not a DP. Miami is looking at making 2 additions in this summer window, whether it's Lionel Messi and Sergio Busquets, or
I want no parts
Messi
of
and
Busquets.
somebody else. Regardless of what it is, Miami is going to make 2 additions come July. Miami does have multiple backups. Miami has not done 6 months of this, you know, we're waiting for
without
Messi without a plan B, C, D, and E.
Right.
And this has all been calculated and has been done for a reason.
So. Right.
Miami, more likely than not, will not sell any players this window. Nick Marsman's the only one I've heard potentially on the block. Rodolfo Pizarro has obviously been on the block since January.
Mexico didn't want
Robbie Robinson is on the block. He has been on the block. He's been banished to the Shadow Realm. Today, instead of training, he was fishing. So I'm glad him and I live the same lifestyle. But Miami does, surprisingly, even with the sanctions, have a lot of flexibility. And it's part of the reason why I think, you know, the harshness on Phil Neville this past year was a bit unwarranted. We knowingly spent half the season playing down, not playing with a full roster, playing without a DP number 10. Alejandro Pazuello wanted to return in January. He wanted to come back to the club. he was willing to accept a very, very low DP deal, like just barely over the amount that it would have cost us to buy him down to a non-DP. And we had to say no. We talked to him and talked to him and talked to him for well over 2 months about bringing him back. And we couldn't make the numbers work with the sanctions. So Miami's played half the season with an incomplete squad.
But and I was bringing up when you were talking about Pozuelo, I'm looking into it, and it apparently his contract expires June 30th of 2023. So like potentially he can potentially be one of those people who can potentially be allegedly coming back to Miami.
I was joking about that months ago. Never did I think that Chris Henderson can't do that.
Listen, I just looked
It's
at
like
it right
pie in the
now
face.
on.
I believe you. I'm just saying, like,
I
how
can't
stupid
wait.
would
I
you
can't
look?
wait. I can't wait till that happens. So Chris Hendo looks like a freaking clown.
Pozuelo still, even now, wants to return. There's no hard feelings between Inter Miami and Alejandro Pozuelo. He left on mutual terms. He understood what Miami is trying to do.
Right.
Oh, and he, quite frankly, doesn't blame us. If you can turn around and get a player like Lionel Messi, you need to sacrifice for it. In the eyes of the players, the club, and the league, that is a sacrifice you make. And
I want Messi.
And yes,
we're
shit. We're 5-11. We're last in the East. We're at the bottom of the power rankings. We fucking suck.
Yes.
But it was this calculated gamble that was made. And that's why if you see Jorge Mas right now, he's apologizing. He apologized to the supporter groups after they fired Phil Neville and basically said, we didn't think it was going to be this bad. We thought it was going to be rough. We didn't think it was going to be this bad.
Yeah.
On Saturday, I said goodbye to Jorge Mas as he walked out the stadium. And his response was, I'm sorry, things are going to get better. Trust me. So they took this calculated gamble and said, we're going to build this kind of makeshift team that should be able to compete without a DP number 10 and that central midfielder that we're holding out money for. But we have to take that risk. We have to gamble for Lionel Messi. And it's not just us who is doing this gamble. It's MLS, it's Apple, it's Adidas, it's the four biggest players in the league are in terms of league finances are saying you have to do everything humanly possible to make this work.
Well, Rob Wise here said that he thinks that it would make more sense. Go ahead to put a more competitive team on the field rather than continue to live this Messi pipe dream. I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like attaining Messi would be the biggest move in MLS history, and that's not hyperbole. That is a fact. That is the biggest move in MLS history. And if you have the opportunity to be the team that makes a move like that, you sacrifice half the season to do it. Now, as a fan, as a season ticket holder like Chris and I are, and Trav, you're also a season ticket holder, it sucks. It sucks watching the team win. And I also believe that the roster, although it's banged up, shouldn't be as bad as it is. I think we should have a couple of draws in there. And with just 3 draws, let's say, all of a sudden, we are no longer last place in the East. We are now, I don't know, like 11th or 12th in the East, which isn't a huge difference, but we shouldn't be this bad. But you make this gamble. You have to, because you have the opportunity to change your franchise. This brand goes global as soon as Messi arrives. Everybody knows who Inter Miami is if they don't already. So you make that gamble.
I think the better, just a quicker way of saying it is, I mean, Rob is not wrong for what he's stating. It's just that it seems like the organization is willing to be able to take the loss on the couple hundred of fans that are going to leave in this taste
Nobody's
of
leaving.
what the team is.
Nobody's
But
leaving.
I mean, but there are people that are turned off by what's going on here. You can't discount that.
Yeah,
But
and as soon
with
as
the-
Messi
but-
shows up,
Well, but that's-
shows up, they're gonna be running around with Messi shirts in the air.
Well, that's my point. My point is they're willing to take the loss on the 50, 100 fans that they're going to lose on the bad, poor play now, versus getting the hundreds and thousands of influx fans that are going to come in just because Messi, signs on that dotted line. So I understand where he's coming from, but I think, like you said, the organization has a bigger play here. Which, I mean, at this point, Messi's a freaking unicorn, bro. I'm so tired of all that nonsense behind him. We're
Look,
talking about bumper stickers.
It's
Yeah,
more so, the big thing is the story broke in November about, I think it was David Ornstein, broke the story that, Messi's coming to Miami. This is real. Messi's coming to Miami. In the 4 days following that announcement, Inter Miami sold 7,000 season tickets.
Yes.
That was a news article about Messi maybe coming to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
In November of the year prior to it being able to happen, Miami's attendance is up, I believe, 40% this year. And it's not because we're a good team. Look at our record. 11. We're not good. Because there's all of these people who want to get in the door now and be able to say when it does happen, I was an Inter Miami fan during the bad times of early 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to have their claim. And then there's also a ton of people, and it's the whole reason that tickets for July moving forward haven't been officially released yet. There's a ton of people that bought season tickets because they know that very first Messi match is $1,000 no matter where you are in the stadium. You could be in the top row of the south end, or you could be in dead of the middle in a suite. You're going to turn around and sell that first game for $500 plus a ticket.
Yes.
And I know so many people that bought season tickets just because, like, that Messi game, that will pay for
the whole year.
This year, next year, the year after that, it'll pay for Florida Panthers season tickets too for the next 4 years. And truly, I bought extra tickets to the League's Cup. I don't give a shit about that tournament. I think it's the stupidest tournament we could have played in. But are you kidding me? If Messi's first match is against Cruz Azul, I'm gonna fucking post that shit for $3,000 a ticket and sit back and drink margaritas.
Everybody's gonna be at that.
I'm gonna be
game.
really, really upset if he makes his debut during the stupid Leagues Cup. I'm gonna be really upset if that's what
not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
That's part of the plan, actually, is for his debut to be against Cruz Azul.
Well, is the Leagues Cup on Apple TV? Because if it's not, it's not happening. Or if it is, then there's a chance. But if it's not on Apple TV, no chance Messi makes his debut on the Leagues Cup.
Yeah. And then I see people putting in, playing Hard Rock. There's been discussions about that. There's been discussions about what the hell you do about security at Dry Ping Stadium, where they walk from the training ground across the street into the stadium. They've had every single one of these discussions. There's only 4 or 5 people within the club that truly know what's happening. Yeah. And there's a fair belief that there's a very, very, very good chance that come the end of this week, you can go buy a jersey from the team store with Messi number 10 on the back of it.
Oh, Trav, stop talking. That's it. This guy's getting me
okay, peace out, guys.
He's getting me
a bottle of rum. There's calling my name.
This guy just said that by the end of the week I could buy a Messi jersey. What are you doing to me, Trav?
I mean, you can't get jerseys customized.
Somebody else has to too. I say fuck. Is it fine? Might as well just jump out my.
All right. All right. So let's take a step back. Back to Saturday. Messi wasn't there on Saturday. Five
Thank
straight
God.
losses, and like everybody's saying, they thought that they fought pretty well, being down 10 men, and they played 10 men for over 90 minutes because with the extra time that they gave, it was well over 90 minutes that they were out with 10 guys out there. My question: a lot of people blaming the refs. Do you put a lot of stock on that ref blame because they had a rough game? But I don't know if I would put the blame only on the refs because I
Can
mean
I
that
can
was a
I
red card. Yeah, of course. Go ahead, Chris. I'll
can
give
I
you what it
gas
says.
bag first before you get the
Yeah, I was-
more
I'll-
intelligent response from Trav?
well, just in case people didn't know, Trav is a ref. He reps for. I mean, I don't know where he reps. I guess he could tell us better than I could. But he does ref.
I've done USL and US Open Cup matches. at
Okay.
the highest level.
So there you go,
I want
Chris. Go
to
ahead.
let me give my best uneducated response first before Trav comes in here and really schools the both of us. Marcos de Oliveira is the worst referee I've ever seen in organized sports history in my whole existence.
You're getting the finger.
In my whole existence from birth until 5 minutes ago. Worst referee I've ever seen in my whole life. That's my hot take.
I don't think
And
it was
I'll-
a hot
I'll-
take because a lot of people agree.
Well, and I'm gonna keep taking on that take because he was literally the worst. But I'll allow Trav to see if he could school me and educate me on this guy because he was a mess.
All right, so here's the funny part. One, there is a worse referee in MLS. His name is Fotis Bazakos, or as I refer to him, Fat Ass Bazokos.
Uh-huh.
In terms of in all sports, I implore you to watch the Heat, and when we turn around and get screwed by Scott
Foster.
Yeah. If you want to see bad refereeing, watch a little bit of Scott Foster.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a little bit of corruption in him. You know, he's been noted to be linked to corruption in the NBA. So I can see that.
What's funny about Marcos de Oliveira, Marcus is a South Florida native. I've actually done a little bit over 30 matches with Marcos. Marcos isn't that shit. Did he have a bad game? Yes. Was he inconsistent? Yes. It was an off game for Marcos de Oliveira. He's a great ref. He's an even better person. But there was an article that went out on The Athletic today where they talked to Wayne Rooney, and they asked Wayne Rooney, they're like, what, you played in this league, now in this league. What is, the biggest things that have changed and not changed? And his answer was, what's the biggest thing that's changed? His response was, the refs have gotten worse. And they turned around, they had whatever his name is, Howard Webb, director for Pro, who was also on this article. And his response was, it's less that the referees have gotten worse. They've gotten younger. They're more inexperienced. 5 years ago, we were kind of in the prime of referees in the United States. We had a bunch of these referees with 150, 200 games under their belt and who were wildly experienced on every level of the game. Now, we have a lot of referees who are doing their 10th, 20th, 30th MLS game or, pro game, like true professional highest level game. And that's a big drop off. As a referee, I am a much better referee now with a little bit over 5,500 games under my belt versus I was when I only had 100 games under my belt. You learn from your mistakes, and you learn from, as a referee, going back and watching the match and saying, oh man, if I called this chippy foul and gave a, yellow card earlier in the match, then, it would have prevented this from snowballing. So, did Marcos de Oliveira have a bad match? Yes, but he's younger, he's less experienced, this is a perfect match for Marco Silveira to look back on and say, "Oh man, I should have given Christian Benteke a yellow card earlier in the match for one of his tackles." And
yeah,
then,
the one on Yedlin before the half.
Yes. Or, I should have been quicker on my whistle. I should have, instead of, after every play, waiting 2 seconds to see if something develops, I should just immediately. And we saw a lot of that in this game. We saw a lot of moments where there would be a foul, like Miami would foul a DC player. He would wait those 2 seconds, and then the Miami player would take a hard foul, but he'd blow the whistle, and you go back to the first foul. And Miami players got upset. The fans got upset. It's the correct call, though. And it's the type of thing that he learns from and says, if I turned around and immediately, that first foul, boom, that prevents the second one.
It's the first
Before
time
you go, go ahead, Danny. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's the first time that my wife has openly started yelling that the ref sucks, like chanting it. And my wife's not about that life, about hating on the refs or the players, but she was chanting it. So even everybody was feeling like a certain way against that ref.
And Rob, who sits in our section, by the way, Rob representing the 124. Okay, worst ref. He's clowning on me, saying it's the worst ref I've ever seen since I've been watching soccer 8.5 months ago.
That's why you haven't experienced fat ass Bazokos. Oh yeah. Man.
I mean, look, I got into soccer like five.
I
got into soccer like 5 minutes ago, and Rob Wise is over here rubbing it in my face. Look, I'll tell you this much. Like I said, I've played organized sports before, and I've had experiences with refs, and I've seen refs, and to me, this guy was shit. That's what I think.
I feel like that's a fair assessment.
What's funny is I shit on Fotis Bazakos because he did an Inter Miami match, I think, in 2020 and just absolutely fucking butchered it. It was horrible for both teams. There was a point in that match where both teams were looking at each other and were like, what the fuck's going on?
Ooh. I mean,
I've hated him since then. The last time he did an Inter Miami match was in 2021. The club specifically said, we will not play in a match that Fotis Bazakos is the whistle for.
Oh my goodness.
He is that bad. And if I will not boo a referee. I'm a referee. I understand. I get called, like the C
all
word
kinds
in
of
3.
names.
Yeah, I get called the C word in 4 different languages. I may not understand 3 of them, but I get called in 4 different languages when I'm refereeing a U9 game.
The C word. Oof, that's strong.
So I'll never boo a referee. Fotis Bazakos, I'm waiting for him by his car.
I mean, and maybe I'm just, and like I said, Danny, maybe I'm just exaggerating a little bit, which I probably am, and I'm okay with that. But it was a badly ref game to me. It was just bad, Danny.
Chris, you during the game, you were wondering why we were huddling up so much with Javier Morales.
Oh my God, that's another thing that just blew me away. Like,
right? But
what is this? We're having water breaks. It's like a beautiful day. Like, and then
I thought it made sense.
It's a new coach. Ooh, we got to meet up with his players. Like, what? Get out of here, bro.
I'm sure
be prepared.
In that
you're done. Get your players ready. Get away. You're terrible.
He had one training session, and he prepared with that one training session for 9 players to be playing for his team. 6 minutes into the game, he went down to 10 players. After one training session, I feel like it's understandable that all of a sudden things go awry and he has to kind of redo things. And I thought that it was kind of smart. It reminded me of Jason Kidd. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that highlight of Jason Kidd, the basketball, when he was coaching for the Brooklyn Nets, where he asked one of his players to knock into him so he could spill water on the floor. So they had to stop the game. And as they're cleaning up the water, he kind of cheaped a timeout, right? Because he had no more timeouts. That's what he was doing with Drake. How many times did they go check on Drake? And it gave a chance for the players to go out and huddle up with Javi. He kind of talked to them, and then all of a sudden Drake's back to being good. Now, I will say
I
it scared me a little bit since Marsman wasn't on the bench. But yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I and George, yes, I love the whistle, and I'm gonna do a whistle later and see if Trav can be able to rate the whistle that I'm gonna do. Danny, shut up. And but Danny, you want to know how many Fs I give about him being with the team for 5 minutes?
You don't care about him
I give
being with the team for
absolutely
5 minutes, but you're okay with Phil Neville losing like 20 games. Like,
Get out
make
of
it make
here.
sense. At
He's
what
been
point
with
you
the
have-
team
Be
before.
logical.
He knows these players. He's practiced with these players. He's watched them. He's helped Phil Neville do whatever Phil Neville does, and he does things. What do you need this
You know who the
gathering?
assistant? You know he wasn't the assistant coach, right? You know that was
Well,
Jason Christ.
Listen, you know what, Danny?
Well, we had 3 assistant coaches, and
and
Matthew,
he was one of them.
And just looking at the chat, Matthew, the person asking that question is my buddy Eric. So reading comprehension there, bud. Fucking idiot.
You're done, Danny. That's
All
the whole
right,
point.
So I wanted to touch up on Joseph real quick. Is it time to give up on Joseph? And I mean this in the most respectful way possible, because I respect Joseph, what he's done, and I do think that he could still be a good player on a team that is built for him. But we're asking the team to play the counter. At least when Phil was around, we were asking for the counter. He's not fast enough to play the counter. And then the way we've been playing, we've just been crossing the ball into the middle. He's not tall enough to catch any of those balls in the box. So does Joseph have absolutely any chance of succeeding with the current roster? Because
With the current roster or
Correct.
the roster in 1 month?
No, in the current roster, because it reminds me of Higuain last year, where he didn't have anybody to give him any service, so he was just looking horrible. All of a sudden, Pozuelo shows up, and Higuain is the best thing that we've ever seen in our lives. I feel like Joseph could be that if he has somebody like Almada. Remember, it wasn't Almada. It was his blanking on his name. Almiron. Thank you. Almiron. When he had Almiron, he put up how many goals? Was it 33? If he has somebody that can give him some service, I believe that he could still contribute. But because he hasn't had that, this just isn't going to work for him. And at this point, I want to see Campana out there. If we have to just have one striker, give me Campana over Joseph.
Yeah, but pay attention to what Trav just said, Bobby. He just said it. Are you talking about the team right now or a month from now when we have freaking Boosie Messi?
Well,
and
not
the next
even
game in a month, because if it is, then I agree. But we still have more games to play before that happens.
well, and not even a month. And in reality, it's more than a month. It's probably a month and a half. It's Leagues Cup. You can put Leagues Cup down as whoever we sign, that will be their debut, just because of the U.S. visa process and all that fun stuff. No, I don't think we give up on Josef. I think that we struggled without a 10 in the lineup. He struggled for Atlanta without a 10, even when he was or wasn't injured. He was his best. He was a MLS MVP when he had Miguel Almiron right behind him, playing him through balls, playing 1-2s with him, and allowing him to turn around and find that space between defenders to make runs and get in behind and tear defenses up. When you don't have a number 10, he's dropping deep. He's coming back. Even in this match, in the first 5 minutes before the red card, there were times where Josef was receiving the ball a lot like Gonzalo Higuain.
Yep.
All the way back in his own half. And when you're the sole striker, you can't do that. You have to stay high. So is it time to give up on Josef Martinez? No, especially not when he's on a dirt cheap deal. And, exactly when it's still paying more than half of his salary. They're paying about 2/3 of it. You can't give up on him, especially when in a month and a half time, we will have a number 10. And that
whether
number
it be
10,
Messi or not,
whether it be Messi, Pozuelo, Perez,
right.
Di Maria, whoever, we will have a number 10 in this lineup.
Yeah, I agree. But for the time being, Chris, if we have a single striker up top, are you okay continuing to see Joseph starting? I'm okay with him coming in as a sub, I guess, but we don't have that number 10 right now. So I'd rather see Campana out there instead of Joseph.
Well, I'd prefer to see Campana over Joseph, just for the simple fact that Campana would be a little bit more active on the defensive end. But I don't know if you remember the picture that I sent you, or that was posted by Mike from the Green Lot, about Joseph and Campana sort of having a discussion right outside of the team facility. That picture to me screams volumes. And I made a little joke about how it could be how they're talking about how shit the midfield is, and they're not talking to each other about, hey, you need to do better, or I need to do better. I can't imagine that conversation's happening. And they're not talking about the defense.
Is there a chance that they're just having a regular conversation?
No way.
No chance. None.
No chance.
No
None
way.
at all. No.
Get out of here,
None.
Danny.
You never
Don't
talk
do
to your
that.
coworkers about just regular shit? Like, hey, how was that Spider-Man
Joseph
universe movie?
Martinez, because I was there for this. Joseph Martinez took a back way to the training center to walk around anybody that was outside, including myself, and then waited outside the doors by the gate to go to where the cars were to turn around and specifically talk to Leo Campana. He allowed other players, other fans, other family members to walk past him. He waited for Leo Campana. And that conversation, when it started, was not friendly. That was not, hey, man, you going out later? I got these 3 chicks with me. One can be for you. And wait, your girl's in the car? We don't have to tell her. It wasn't a conversation like that. It was pointing, and it was a business discussion that was not happy. These two were clearly unhappy with each other, and Joseph, he seeked out Leo Campana for that conversation.
But why on earth would they have it in front of the parking lot where other people can see him? That's why it makes no sense to me that would happen that way.
Because otherwise they're both leaving for the day. Might as well get it done. There were 10 fans. And nobody heard what they were saying. It looked like a conversation. And
they could be bamboozled, like you're getting bamboozled, Danny.
It could have been Joseph saying, hey man, I got these 3 girls, about to walk to my car with me. Which one you want? Oh, I got you. It could have been that. We don't know. Oh, are they mad at each other? Is Joseph saying, fuck man, they subbed me off for you? You fucking suck. Oh, or is it, God, man, this team sucks ass.
That's
you're
what
gonna ask for a transfer. I'm gonna ask for a transfer. No,
that's what I think it is.
Joseph is, he could have been asking Campana, hey man, do you know if they bolt down the tables here or not? No, you don't know, so it's only
speculation.
This is 100% speculation. They could have been 100% fine and gone to Tootsie's, banged all 3 of the chicks Joseph was with, or they could have drove off separately, absolutely furious at each other, and gotten into a fist fight at training today. We don't know.
If anybody from Nashville is watching, it's not the Tootsies from Nashville, by the way, that he's talking about. Because we've had this discussion with people from Nashville that's been on the show. We had a little bit of a confusion. There's several Tootsies.
Well,
in the country, apparently.
And the one thing I wanted to mention, Danny, and I forgot to tell you this earlier, but imagine with all of this happening, Phil Neville gets fired. You got the assistant to the regional manager in Javier Morales that's getting, basically the leading job. Like, what do you think he feels about all of this? You don't think that could have been a part of the conversation that they had at the end? I mean, imagine the situation that Joseph is in right now. That's got to be a part of it too, because Campana has that. He actually knows a little bit about Javier Morales.
But what Javi said was that Joseph got taken off because he had tightness in his hamstring. Now, was he faking the tightness?
Oh, yeah.
Probably. But that's why he supposedly got taken off.
Or it could have been fighting. Campana could have said something before the match about, oh, man, you're starting over me. dude, you're ass, you're washed. And this was just, boiling over and going farther. We don't know though. It's speculation. Truly,
Sean,
they could have gone to Tootsie's afterwards, or they could have gone home furious at each other. We don't know. It's speculation.
That was always the gamble with bringing in Joseph, right? Because everybody knows that he could have these type of issues with his in the locker room in general, right? That's kind of the reputation that he had. But like you said, depending on the moves we make coming up in a couple of weeks, that things could get settled back down. And I also heard some rumblings that it's possible that Phil Neville, was at least the facility on Saturday night. I don't know if he was there watching the game. So I thought that was interesting also, that he possibly might have been at the facility. Now, what did you think of the fact that Harvey Neville wasn't on the squad at all?
that's sad.
I think it's purely a coach's decision. I think that was purely, do we need to carry two center backs, a left back on the bench? Do we need to carry 5 defenders on the bench? And the answer is no. I mean, truly, that bench had Noah Allen, Chris McVeigh, Ryan Saylor, Ian Frey, technically a defender, and how many players are we supposed to carry on the bench? How many defenders are we supposed to carry on the bench?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we carried 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders on the bench. Did we need to carry a 5th? Oh, and I think Harvey Neville is a player who has a lot of class and can turn around and have a future with the club. I'd rather see Noah Allen on the bench. I'd rather see Ian Frey on the bench.
I agree. If I had to choose between Noah Allen and Harvey Neville, I go Noah Allen. 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But I thought that it was interesting that he wasn't on there because, I thought that he's played well. He has a history with Javi. So Javi knows him well, right? Because he played for him on the MLS2 team. So I was surprised.
And look
So
at what Lucas
Darren
too.
Powell was the head coach of the IMCF2 squad.
Okay,
so that's who he would have played for.
Okay, so Javi doesn't have a relationship with him.
Yeah, Javi has more of a relationship with these true academy guys: Ian Frey, Benja Kamashi, David Ruiz, Noah Allen, guys that he's coached in the academy. Javier Morales has been with the club since the 2020 season. Before then, he joined the club in 2019, and he first coached the academy when we didn't have our own training grounds. We were playing out of just random parks in Miami. And that was the beginning of the Inter Miami Academy. When he, the head coach and director of our academy, was scouting players on his own. He was the one in the field saying, oh man, that Noah Allen kid looks good. Let's sign him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got the U.S. Open Cup game against, I forgot what's the city in Alabama.
Birmingham Region
Birmingham.
FC
Okay.
on
Great
Wednesday
fishing
at 8 p.m.
close by.
So you said you don't care about the Leagues Cup, so you care about the Open Cup, because I don't care about either of them.
Yes. I love the Open Cup. I think the Open Cup is the easiest path to CONCACAF Champions League in the MLS as an MLS squad.
That's the reason I like it, because I want to get into the Champions League for sure.
And it's a lot like UCL in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one competition that you can get into, you want it to be that. And if in England winning the FA Cup got you into the Champions League, teams would take it a lot more seriously than they do. So I love the U.S. Open Cup. I've refereed matches in the U.S. Cup. I met Kaká in a match that I refereed in the U.S. Open Cup. So I think it's something we should take seriously. And with only one more match until the international break, Javi Morales should run to this game with the strongest squad humanly possible and get us to the next round, and then pray to the to the little ball gods that a home draw against, I think it's Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, winner of that game.
100%, Rob. I hate the Open Cup and I hate the concept until everybody reminds me that you get into Champions League, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, for sure, I want to get it. But
Yeah,
the tournament
and
cup,
like
I think it's stupid.
the Leagues Cup also gets you into the Champions League. More teams get into the Champions League from Leagues Cup. I believe the top 3 teams from Leagues Cup make it into the Champions League, but that's because it's it's 2 leagues, 2 federations. Oh, and I think Leagues Cup is stupid. I think it adds a lot of unnecessary congestion to the schedule. I think,
That month of May was brutal.
Yeah, in the month of May, and even
Yes.
the first week and a half of June is brutal. We've played 2 games a week every single week for the past 6 weeks. That is brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. These guys do not have time to properly recover when we turn around and play on Wednesday, on Saturday, on Tuesday, on Saturday, on Wednesday, on Saturday for 6 weeks straight.
Well, Arroyo got injured, so that's gonna be something to watch for.
Arroyo
did
got
Taylor.
injured. Ryan Saylor got injured.
And Miller won't be playing on Saturday.
Kamal Miller will be suspended on Saturday, so I predict he'll go a full 90 plus tomorrow or
yep.
Wednesday, whatever.
Mhm.
But I'll put it out there. I fucking hate Leagues Cup. It hasn't even started. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the stupidest competition we could have had.
That's how I feel about Open Cup. The US
At
Open
least
Cup.
Open Cup has history.
Yes,
Yeah, I guess. But like everybody's dying to win. So they go, hey, we got hardware. Woo, we're champion. No, you're not.
Like at least
No,
the
you're
US
not.
Open Cup is
Nobody
100
took that
plus
shit
years
serious.
old. Leagues Cup was created a year ago, and this is the first time we're ever going to play it. And it's because these 2 leagues want to turn around and make more money. We didn't do this because we want to see more MLS against League MX. The vast majority of people don't care.
You know what? You're right. But
You
if I had to
cannot
choose
walk
one-
around. You cannot walk around an Inter Miami match and be like, walk up to any random fan and be like, so tell me 2 sentences about Leagues Cup and our upcoming match against Cruz Azul. They will look at you and say, what the fuck is Leagues Cup? Oh, you have a better odd of walking around and going up to somebody and saying, oh, tell me about US Open Cup, and them at least knowing something.
But that's because it's new. Look, if I had to choose between the 2, I'd go Leagues Cup simply because I'd be happier.
Wow.
I'd be happier beating, let's say, Chivas than beating fucking Birmingham, Alabama. Fuck
You're on
out
the
of here.
sauce, bro. You're on the
Get
sauce.
out of here.
Bro.
I'd much rather beat one of those Liga MX teams and win a championship between those 2 leagues than beating some USL teams. Ooh, I beat Miami FC at FIU. Ooh, barely. Charlotte and Sacramento. Like, get out of here, man. I'd rather beat those Liga MX teams or MLS teams. I really dislike the Open Cup. I really do. But yes, as soon as everybody says I can get into Champions League, yes, I agree. I want to win it. All right. Go ahead.
Get out of here. You know what, Sean? You're right, man. This guy Danny sucks.
That's such a
This guy Danny is
take.
lost. You are lost.
I don't care. I'd rather beat MLS and Liga MX teams than beat these USL teams. They mean absolutely nothing to me. And apparently to MLS teams, they also mean nothing because they never run out their full strength 11. They never do.
Because
they
they're
care.
juggling, we play 34 games in the league this year. We've already played 4 games? We're on our 4th game in US Open Cup. We're now going to play a minimum of 3 games in Leagues Cup. Right there, we're playing 41 matches on the year now in a 30, I think it's only a 30-week season.
Look, Trav, I agree with you. Get rid of the Open Cup and let's just do the Leagues Cup.
Get rid of Leagues Cup, and this isn't even a problem. The schedule isn't as congested as it is. We focus on US Cup. We win US Open Cup. And then we put it right next to our Carolina Challenge Cup trophy.
Oh,
Right
that's my
there.
favorite. I hope everybody celebrates it as much as we celebrated that one. Here, just in case everybody forgot, we have hardware, guys. We have
Yeah.
hardware.
Yeah, fuck Orlando. We got that before them.
There we go.
Shout out
So
to
we
the
got
fact that they're
hardware.
wearing long sleeves. I was at that game and it was like 50. It's not even that
Ooh.
cold.
Well, I can't stand the Open Cup, but yes, before people start bringing it up in the chat again, I do want to win it because of the Champions League. So yes,
Well, we got that game. We got that game on Wednesday, Danny, and then we got New England on Saturday. So we might
gonna
win 2
preview-
games this week.
You think so? Okay, we're gonna preview New England on Wednesday. We're gonna have a guest on, and
We're gonna have,
I'll tell you right now, I don't think we went on Saturday in New England without Kamal Miller and with all the injuries. But I guess we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Trav, how are you feeling about this Open Cup match against Birmingham, Alabama?
I feel pretty good. I actually want to go to the match if I didn't have, this pesky thing called work. I think we win, and I think the U.S. Open Cup is a great competition, not just because of its history and all of that, but for these, USL and lower league sides. They're going to absolutely sell out this match. It's going to be a packed house in Birmingham, and that's absolutely fantastic for them. It grows it grows a new level of support for the sport. Jesus Christ. Oh, wow. I see that in the chat.
I'll put it up.
No, I wasn't even laughing at that one. I was laughing at the one above that.
Okay.
But it's fantastic, and it grows a completely new fan base for the game. This is Birmingham's professional soccer team. If this turns around and breeds a new level of fans, a new level of youth players, then it's a win, regardless of the scoreline on the pitch.
Yeah, I guess that's cute, but I still don't care about the Open Cup.
That's
But I do think we'll win. I think we're going to put out our best 11, right? Not like other teams go ahead and they put their, like Nashville did, or was it Nashville that did it against us? They went ahead, they rotated their roster because they figured that they could beat us. And luckily, I think that rain delay kind of helped, and we ended up squeaking out that victory. What do you think?
That match never should have finished.
You don't think so? Well, I think there was lightning going on as the game was going on, right? But they're like, we got to get this game in.
Lightning was never more than 2 miles away from the stadium. Because it's not MLS, the 8-mile rule technically doesn't apply. So they turned around and were like,
nice.
They're like, yeah, we can say it's been 8 miles, right? Yeah, sure.
Chris,
Yes!
What are you thinking about Birmingham?
Well, I think that we're gonna walk away with a dub against Birmingham's sister cousin wives. And
I think he was referring to the sister kissing that you always talk about with the ties, man.
yeah, but then I mean it's a double entendre there, I mean, come on.
I got you.
It's gonna be fun, and then we're gonna play against New England. That's gonna be a fun game. This time it's in New England. Remember we were talking about, I don't know if it was New England or if it was another team that they had like really bad issues with their grass and stuff. Was it New England?
Oh,
we
yes,
talked to
it's New England.
It was
Gillette
when we were
Stadium's
talking to
turf is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, that's when we were talking to Tommy Two Time.
Yeah.
That was God, who did we lose last year because of that? So that was the match where in the first 30 minutes 3 different players had to be subbed off due to injuries.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly the play. Yeah, New England is known for the field turf. Danny, you probably hope that we win every game because you love Javier Morales.
Let's be clear. I thought that we needed a new coach. That I thought, and I will not say that we didn't. I think that we did. And I think Phil saw the writing on the wall because he comes from Manchester. He knows what it's like in the EPL. How many coaches did Leeds have this year? How many coaches did Chelsea have this year? If you do not win, you do not keep your job. If anything,
hate
he
you.
kept it a lot longer than I thought he would. Now, it got to a point where I thought that they would wait for the international break to kind of switch, but it got to a point where like we knew, you could see it with the effort that they showed this past Saturday with 10 players. Under Phil, they weren't showing it if they would have had 12 players. It got to a point where it was just too much. We needed a
hate you, Danny.
change.
I hate you.
Well, listen, if you're a fan of managers, you're really going to love the rest of this month, especially when we get another one. So don't get too attached. Don't go buying Javier Morales jersey.
Well,
No, Danny already
just
got
to
it
get-
customized.
No, but
You
that's
already
what I
got it
said last
customized.
week, though. What I said last week on our last episode was it made the most sense to have Javi come on here because it's easier to kind of say he's an interim. He came up through the academy system. He was here as a stopgap, and then they're not going to call it demotion. He's going to go back to what he was doing before. It makes sense. If you get Jason Christ to be the interim head coach, it looks a lot worse to get a MLS Cup winning coach to kind of coach your team for a couple weeks, and then it's like, all right, my guy, thanks, but no thanks. It just doesn't make sense. So now it makes sense. They can easily hire somebody else, which they probably will, and then put Javi back to where he was.
86. You can eat it, bro.
I don't.
You can eat it.
I'm not
I'm
sure.
I'm gonna frame this. Okay, 86. So take that.
For those listening on audio, 86 put on a comment that said, "Can't be more embarrassing than having a Phil Neville shirt on because Chris is currently wearing a Phil Neville shirt."
Yeah. Well, whatever.
All right.
Just a brief for the people who are on audio and have listened to me say fuck twice in the past 3 minutes. Panthers scored. It was 4-1 until about 5 seconds ago. Now Vegas scored. Now it's 5-1. So
that game's over.
You know, glad to see that Phil Neville got a job in hockey.
Do you think that Messi, if he were to come, no, you know what? I don't want to talk about Messi anymore. If
Do
we
it.
don't
do
get
that.
Messi,
Do it. Just do it.
No, I was
Imagine
gonna
all
say-
the views.
no, I was gonna say Messi.
Just hashtag Messi.
Would he be the one choosing the next coach? Which I would assume yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we don't get Messi,
and everybody's saying Tata Martina, you're out of your fucking mind. They hate each other, so that's not happening.
what do you think Plan B would be if we don't get Messi? Obviously, we're gonna get a 10. Benzema and Aubameyang
we're getting
are
a
all
10.
to Saudi Arabia.
We're getting a 10 and we're getting an 8. Those are the two players we're signing this window. We're getting a 10. We're getting an 8.
No names that you think that were possibilities? Di Maria, maybe.
Di Maria is going to Benfica. Alejandro Pozuelo is quite simple. He wants to return. He's out of contract. He will get a visa really quickly here. He knows the club already. He owns property down here.
That would be so crazy.
A name that Tom Bogert put out there today, Azorio Perez. He is
Everton?
Leicester. He was on loan to
Leicester
Real
City,
Betis. He is an option. Miami and another MLS club, I believe Nashville, have made contact with him to see what his salary would be. It would be hefty. I see people putting Antoine Griezmann in the chat. I would absolutely love Antoine Griezmann.
I would too, and he loves Miami.
He's under contract until 2026. So Antoine Griezmann's not coming to Miami. In terms of 8s, there was a lot of really good ones available out there. I believe that these are two positions that Miami values experience. We will not have a 21-year-old number 10 or a 21-year-old number 8 in an ideal world. Now, yes, Benja, Ruiz, Ian Frey, they have all stepped into the 8, 6, and 10 role very well for, 17, 18, and 20 years old. Miami values experience in this position.
That's why Bryce
they want a number 10. That's why Bryce Duke got the number 8 jersey from the beginning of the season. He
Yeah.
was told, if you stay with Miami, we signed you to this long-term contract extension because we believe in you and we want you here
See him as a
for
project.
yeah. But if you can't develop as an 8, you're not going to have a future in this club.
Yeah.
Because the number 10, we need and we value an experienced player. And the same goes for the number 8. That's why, we're talking about Sergio Busquets, as
Nobody
much as
wants
I would
that guy.
absolutely hate that.
No, that's Blaise Matuidi. Again, forget that.
He's Blaise Matuidi again, except Spanish, so worse.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, I want Rabiot. And I believe Miami's at least asked what it would take. It'd be too much. The idea is that the DP is number 10 is a DP. The number 8 is a TAM player.
TAM.
Listen, one thing I want to mention before you go on, Danny, because Lucas put a comment here. Just put Messi in the title. Danny and I don't want to sell our souls, okay? So if you could just do us a favor so we don't have to sell our soul, just like the video, subscribe, and we could still remain with our souls intact.
Everybody hashtag Messi in the comments, share it on Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want. Hashtag Messi, hashtag, Messi VR, hashtag Messi porn, everything, guys.
Well, it's funny because we usually send out like a topic, a show sheet, like a topic sheet, and we send it to whenever we have a guest, kind of things we're going to talk about. And there was nothing on Messi, and Trav goes,
I'd
"We're
like
really
to
not
make
going
a
to talk
point.
about Messi?" Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'd like to make a point that I read it for like half a second, saw that there wasn't Messi on there, and was like, "We're really not going to talk about this? Sweet." And then we made it about 5 minutes in before idiots like Matthew started saying Matthew Messi, and it's like, fuck, I'm gonna have to talk about this.
Well, I definitely know it's a talking point, but we've definitely tried to stay away from the Messi talk because it's gotten exhausting, honestly.
Listen, Danny and I, Danny
I don't want Messi here.
Danny and I are essentially like Neo in the Matrix when it comes to doing these podcasts. Like, we're literally dodging bullets all the time just to stay away from this topic.
Yeah.
You were going to say, Danny?
No, I just saw somebody ask, is Ulloa still on the team? I believe he is.
Yes.
He is,
Yeah, he was out with a knock on Saturday.
Yeah.
Everybody's
all right. Well,
out with a
No.
freaking knock.
And then I see
Saturday.
Rob saying that, he's never going to let me down if Messi doesn't play in Miami this season. Good. I've said since January, I don't want him here. The last thing I want to do is, fight like 1,000 kids at, the front of my section because, they're all trying to, get, 2 seconds closer. I'd also like to point out, speaking of children, anybody else notice the Streakers post-match on Saturday?
yes.
2 kids, they jumped out of the fucking West stand. That's the impressive part.
Yeah.
That's like a 15-foot jump.
Well, I saw them as we were heading out. But I was a little disappointed that they gave themselves up so easily.
Yeah, they really dropped on the floor too quickly, man. If that was me as a kid.
But it's because they were kids. If we would have done it as kids, social media wasn't around.
God.
You haven't seen those highlight videos of the security guards completely demolishing people. They've seen those videos. Once they saw that those security guards were close, they're like, you know what? Let me get
take
down.
We're gonna sit down. One.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I was like, oh, come on, man. You got to make it to at least the players.
Yes.
All right.
I'd like to point out that that's happening now. Imagine what happens if Messi comes.
No, it's gonna be a circus.
No, there's gotta be snipers on the top of the stadium. you're not getting 50 feet near him without getting Mark Wahlberg in the face.
God, just American Sniper all over again. American Sniper Miami version.
Could you imagine getting out the traffic? It's going to be crazy if they were to happen. But you know what? I'm here for it because I want Messi on the team. But let me be very clear. I want Messi on the team this summer. If this transfer window passes and Messi is not a member of Inter Miami, I never want to hear about that guy again, ever again. I don't want that guy. Move on. Let Chris Henderson finally get to work on building this team. And look, there have been how many? 26, 27 MLS champions before this year. None of them had Messi on their team. You don't need Messi to win a championship. Yes, you want the global brand, but I want to win, and not an Open
Yeah.
Cup. I want an MLS Cup. So I'm done with Messi if he doesn't come this summer.
I fully agree with that. I mean, I've said that since January, and that I said in January that Miami's going to struggle in the first half of the season because we made a conscious decision about what we wanted, and we
And I'm
have.
okay with it. I'm okay
Oh.
with it
And
for now.
if we don't land Messi, was it a waste of a season because we waited 6 months to try again? No, because regardless what we do, we're going to turn around and get a very high-end number 10 and number 8 this season and this transfer window. And those players are going to set us up for the future. These are players who are going to sign outside of Messi. He'll sign a 3-year deal. These are players that otherwise are going to sign 3- and 4-year deals and get us to Miami Freedom Park and be the spine of this club for years to come.
I agree. And that's why I'm okay. Look, again, we said it like an hour ago. I didn't think that this was going to be a messy episode, but it ended up being a messy episode.
Messi.
And an hour ago, I said, I get that we gambled away half the season, but it's a gamble worth taking when it's Messi at the end, right? But that's it. Gamble's over. Half the season's gone. We still are within reach of the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. We saw last year. So I'm okay with the gamble. If it doesn't pay off, good try. But that's it. Let's put this in the rearview mirror. Good try. But now you owe it to the fans that put up with this crap to put a winner on the field. And it doesn't have to be Messi. I want it to be Messi, but it doesn't have to be. We could win without him. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the gamble, but I'm done with it. And by the way, we already have a thumbnail and a show title and everything. As soon as I hit end on the broadcast, like everything's already done. But I'm kind of curious now. Like, should I just literally like the title? I'm just gonna put Messi.
Just put Messi.
I like that one by
Messi.
Rob Wise. Messi, more like Messi. I fucking love that one. That's the name of it.
You know what? I'm gonna change the thumbnail and everything, and we're gonna see. We're gonna experiment, and on Wednesday we'll see what the results were 48 hours later. Because
Lucas,
I'm kind of curious.
Lucas, I think if I'm not mistaken, Trav picked
No, he
picked
didn't.
the steak. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did this.
Yeah,
back in
he did.
January.
I remember.
He
Yes,
did?
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like one
Because
of the first people that did it.
Well, he might have been the actual first one then, because Trav, we didn't do that until late January. That's when we started doing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did that back in January because then I got into a fight with somebody in the comments about it because they said some
Yes.
stupid shit. They said
Matthew,
something like,
right?
I like my steak well done. Like, well, then you
Well, then
might
you're
as well just
weirdo.
eat, turn around, go eat leather. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that leather handbag's looking pretty good to you, isn't it?
All right. Well, an hour and a
Fucking
half
loser
in,
if you eat
again,
your steak
and I
well
want to
done.
say
Jesus Christ.
an hour and 15 minutes. I want to say was like on Messi, but it is what it is. Javi
Messi.
Morales, real quick, right before we get out. Javi Morales, what are you thinking so far? We couldn't judge him really on Saturday. Do you agree? This is basically the question I wanted to start the show with, and asking an hour and a half later. Can we?
I kind of refuse to judge him based off Saturday. I mean, playing 85 plus minutes down a man, honestly, you could have had Pep Guardiola or Sir Alexander Ferguson as manager,
And you're trying to hang on for that point.
and you're either going for a draw
Mhm.
or a loss. You're playing that game trying not to lose.
Correct.
And that's not the way that Javi Morales likes to play. Now, we'll see this on Wednesday and on Saturday when ideally that doesn't happen again.
Right.
Oh, he's the type of manager who's going to go for the win. And you just can't do that when you're down a man for 90 minutes.
Listen, these next two games, Danny, are going to be really telling.
Mhm.
These next two games are going to be really telling, and Lucas is actually interested in what the predictions are going to be against Birmingham, Alabama. I think we're going to blow them out of the water.
Do they play on Tuesday or Wednesday?
On Wednesday, Poppy, 8:00,
Oh,
somewhere on
Wednesday?
YouTube or something. So
I don't
it's
know
going to
when
be
we'll
like
do our
three.
episode.
It's going to be like 3-1, random goal by some rando in Alabama.
Juan
I don't know.
Agudelo.
Is that like an actual player?
That's a former Inter Miami CF player from the inaugural roster who now plays for the Birmingham Legion.
Look at that. I forgot
That is
about that guy.
interesting. A little beef.
I think 2-1. I think Birmingham's going to fight like absolute hell in front of their own fans, and it's going to be a tough match for Miami, not because of talent or anything, but because Birmingham is playing in front of their home fans. This is their chance to move on to the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup and advance farther than they ever have before. So they're going to fight like hell, but I think Miami still pulls out of there with the 2-1 win.
What about you, Danny?
I'm right there. 2-1 sounds okay, and I'm not excited about it, but Champions League is what I'm looking forward to. So let's get this Open Cup. Just I don't know, but as far as the celebratory pictures, I mean, it's going to be the same to me as that. So that's all. All right.
Well,
I guess we'll get out of here. Anything else for? Oh, well, Trav, tell them where they can find you.
On Twitter at IMCF Traveller. If you're watching this for the first time and you see my face, I'm sorry. I know it's disappointing. It's a lot easier being anonymous. Yeah, you can check me out on there. I will say whatever the hell I want and respond all the time. Trav Chat, my basically live show where instead of you guys being in the chat, you guys can hop on and speak your actual minds. We'll be returning soon. And yeah, that's pretty much where I am. If you see me anywhere else, no, you didn't.
Chris, anything else for the people before we head out?
Well, Danny, I hate you, and you're an idiot,
I know.
and you're a dummy, loser, and respect the man. Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
guys. Get out.
thank you guys for joining the chat. This was by far our longest episode ever. But when Messi is on the docket, it's necessary. And I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change the title. I'm gonna change the thumbnail, and we'll see where we're at.
Put out a Twitter poll. You gotta do it.
Like and subscribe so we don't sell our souls, guys. Come on.
No, and again, we
I already
appreciate
sold
you
my
guys.
soul.
If you're listening and you listen to all hour and 40 minutes, also we appreciate you also. And again, thank you guys for joining. We'll catch you guys at some point on Wednesday. I didn't realize the game was on Wednesday, so I don't know if we're gonna come on after the game or what. But we'll catch you guys on Wednesday. Until then, have a good one.